it was it was just I enjoyed I enjoyed watching robots run the gauntlet and trials, and when it comes to Roboteer banter, this one is definitely up there. There is so much great banter in there, like the Plunderbird boys, silence! How dare you! That was a good moment. Limpet and its bread. It was a decent series. I think it does get a lot of hate. It's very flawed. Um, the Gauntlet should have stayed one thing throughout, and Dead Metal shouldn't have been in the sumo. But aside from that, aside from its many issues, I think it's a very good series. But it's just a but compared to other series of Robot Wars, yeah, it kind of does fall down. Right, number 15 is Burger King Footlace. No, I'm kidding. Dutch Series 2. No, not Dutch Series 2. Dutch Series 1. Dutch Series 1 is a fun little tournament. I think I think it's good. I remember it. I remembered it being a lot worse than I originally thought. But when I rewatched it due to Mr. Psycho's live reviews, yeah, it's a pretty fun little series. And there are good fights in there. Alien Destructor versus Twisted Metal was a really good battle. For example, and the grand final itself. It was a good series. Apart from Heat, which was absolutely bollocks. It was it was rubbish. It was actually rubbish. What easily the second worst episode in Robot Wars history, next to German Robot Wars Heat A. Then the next one, number 14. I would probably have to give it to Robot Wars Extreme Warriors Series One. I think it's a good solid series, although there isn't really too much special about it. And some alright fights in there. And the House Rock Rebellion itself was really good. Manta versus Tiger Cat was very good. It did have some very questionable things, like the Civil War episode was. Oh, they really shouldn't have done that. That was a bit insensitive. I would have to say, especially considering the that the team that won were the team that was representing the side that was trying to keep slavery in America. That was very, very insensitive. Yeah, Robot Wars shouldn't have greenlit that episode idea. I think that's more insensitive than the Iron Maidens tournament, personally. But then again, that is my personal opinion. I do take things like racism quite seriously. It isn't racism, but it was very ignorant and insensitive. Which is a shame because I actually like that episode, but I refuse to rewatch it for many reasons. I know I'm being a bit too serious, but well, what can you say? I am part Jamaican, so I would take something like that quite seriously. War of Independence was War of Independence. Like, what were the Americans thinking by bringing Pussycat over? Like, that was not a good idea for the Americans. It was good for British TV, but it was targeted to Americans, so surely you'd rig it in favour of the Americans. I mean, that's what the UK do. Uh, for just the UK audience, I mean, they clearly do rig it in UK's favour. So I'm just confused why the Americans didn't do that. Then and the US Championships, it should have been a bigger tournament instead of one massive rumble. Yeah, it really shouldn't have been. It should have been that instead of a massive rumble. It should have been spread out across many episodes. But yeah, that's kind of and the House Rock Rebellion was a decent episode, but yeah, that's my opinion on Extreme Warriors Series One. And Mick Foley, he didn't quite get to his entertaining points yet. And I do like Mick Foley. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. Cactus Jack is my favorite alter ego of Mick Foley, by the way. Right, the next one I probably have to give it to Nickelodeon Robot Wars. It would be ranked higher if Dave Azer wasn't absolutely rubbish at his job. I'm sorry, I sound mean. I'm sounding mean here, but Dave Azer was not good. He was not good. Well, there's nothing else to say. He was genuinely not good. He's the worst presenter they've ever had. He was way too nice. Way too nice for a presenter. And apparently, according to Nerdcube, he kept screwing up his lines to the point where people were booing him and chanting for Foley to get back on back on the thing, back on the thing, no, back to presenting, because he absolutely did not do a very good job. Like, he told people to give a round of applause to Techno Pants. A robot did nothing in its fight. Oh, but aside from that, some of the fights were good. The Mayhem was good. The Mayhem tournament in general was very good. The Tag Team Terror was good. And the Challenge Belt I think was pretty good. But yeah, that's my opinion on Nickelodeon Robot Wars. Next I'd say Series 9, which is number 12. I think we're on Series 9. Series 9 was okay. It was very okay. It's a good series, but compared to other series of Robot Wars, it was very okay. There were too many quick fights. So many fights felt similar to me, of just the spinner gets in a big hit and the robot's dead. Although when there was a good fight, it was a good fight. So there we go. Right. The next series is series. Oh god, I'm losing count right now. Yeah, Series 5 is probably next. I've made my opinions on Series 5 very clear before. I do not think it's one of the best series. I think it's quite an average series at best. There are some good heats, but there is a lot of rubbish in there. There is a lot of terrible fights, terrible robots, even bad heats. There are quite a few really, really real stinkers of heats in there. I think it's a good series. Although it is home to some of the worst episodes of Robot Wars, especially Semi-Final 2. That was absolutely bloody awful. It was terrible. That episode was terrible. It was bad. It was awful. And if you don't believe me, rewatch that episode. It is genuinely one of the worst episodes in Robot Wars history, and I still stand by it. Like, Hypnodisc versus Dominator 2 wasn't even the worst fight in the episode. That's how bad it is. It was really bad. It was really bad. But then the next one, I'd probably have to say Series 3. Series 3 is a series I am very nostalgic for, but looking back over it, it isn't as great as I remember it when I was young. There were lots of decent stuff in there, but there was a lot of, lots of filler in there as well. Lots of, heats that just felt like filler. Heat C, L, and P were not great. Neither was Heat F. I think that was Gravedigger's Heat. That wasn't a great heat either. The International Special was really bad. But it just has some highlights in there, such as the First World Championships. Cassius's Heat, Panic Attack's Heat, Chaos 2's Heat. Both semi-finals and the grand final. It has some good highlights. But yeah, and I'm kind of in the same boat about Series 4, because that's where it goes next. I prefer Series 4 to Series 3. I'm more nostalgic for it. But it is kind of in a similar boat to me as Series 3. I'm highly nostalgic for it, but looking back, it isn't the best. There's a lot of issues with it. That it had lots of really terrible robots that were in there that I really didn't really wish I ever saw. Because, I mean, one thing Series 3 does have over it is that its bad robots were funny. Series 4 had bad robots, but they weren't even funny. They were boring. Like, Humphrey was... Yeah, no. They're a boring machine. they're boring. But yeah. But aside from that, Series 4 does also have some highlights. It does have some highlights, like Heat A, I enjoy a majority of the heats, except for Heat C and Heat L. Heat C is up there as one of the worst episodes in Robot Wars history, of Series 4 Heat C, and... Wait, no, not Heat L, Heat K. Heat K is what I'm thinking about. That is, Little Fly's heat. Sorry, Anderson, I know you like that heat, but I don't. I don't like that heat at all. I do not like Little Fly. I do not like Little Fly. I do not like Evil Weevil 2's new colour scheme. I do not like World War 2. I do not like how something killed itself. Tiberius looks weird, and Mousetrap is the best robot to come out of where I come from, and that makes me genuinely sad. But yeah, Series 4, decent series though. I still recommend it. And now we come up to the series that I really like, Extreme Warriors Series 2. Awesome series. That's where I would go next. Extreme Warriors Series 2 is an absolutely brilliant series. Loved every bit of it. So many great battles. Especially my favorite one from it is Rosie the Riveter 2 versus Panzer Mark 4. Such a fast-paced, frantic battle, and Rosie only lost due to a driving error. There are lots of great machines in there. Manta, Rosie the Riveter 2, Tricerabot, Panzer, Probophobia, tons of great machines. Great battles, as I've said. The Annihilator was brilliant. It's a great series. Then I probably have to give it to Series 8. Series 8 is also another really good little series, I think. Lots of great action in it. For a short series, it had tons of good fights. I enjoyed every single episode in there. Every episode had at least one standout fight for me. At least one fight that stood out to me as a very good battle. Like, Hite had a really good opener. No, Hite had a really good opening fight. It was great to see Razor back, and its elimination was hilarious. I'm saying that as someone who considers Razor their second favourite robot of all time. It used to be first, but now it's Disco Inferno. But, yeah, his early exit was hilarious. Carbide Wrecking House was fun. Carbide vs. Nuts 2 was great. Carbide vs. Behemoth was a good fight, both times. Heat B is probably one of the weaker heats, but it had some funny moments. I found Mr. Speed Squared versus Foxic funny, personally. I also found, I also think that 4 versus Shockwave was a good fight. I really like Shockwave. Heat C, TR2's Melee is a really underrated battle, I think. It's really good. Dantom Kia versus TR2 is another underrated fight. Dantom Kia versus Big Nipper was a good fight too. Shane Swan being cocky was always fun, and Dara just dissing Overdozer is hilarious. Then Heat D, all-time classic, had some classic fights in there. I think all of Storm 2's fights were really good, personally. I enjoyed every single one of Storm 2's battles. And Heat had Chompalot going on fire, and Pulsar versus Gabriel, which is one of the best fights in Series 8. And the grand final itself was one of the best episodes in Robot Wars history. I think it's a really underrated series. It's short, but it has some great battles into it for its short length. Then I'd probably say next is Series... Ooh, that's tough. I'd probably have to go for Dutch Series 2. Dutch Series 2 is absolutely brilliant. I know Mr. Psycho isn't the biggest fan of some of the episodes, but I love every single episode in Dutch Series 2. I think all of the fights are brilliant. I just really like it. I think it's one of the greatest series of Robot Wars of all time. I've made my opinions of it very clear in my unpopular Robot Wars opinions video, but it is one of the best. It's my 4th favourite series of all time. I really enjoy all the robots in there, even the terrible ones. They were funny. It was a great series. It was brilliant. It was genuinely a brilliant series. And then we have Series 6. I forgot how great Series 6 was. Series 6 is a marvellous series. It is great. It has so many really good battles. And I actually like every single episode. I like the UK versus Germany, personally. Mostly due to 259 versus Fluffy, although I would have liked it a lot more if Daskapek won, as it rightfully should have. I know I find Daskapek overrated, but it did deserve to win that. I will give it that. I enjoyed Spawn Again's heat, not because of Spawn Again, but because of Supernova. Supernova made that heat awesome. Same with Panic Attack's heat. Terahertz made that heat awesome. Many heats people find dull. I enjoy every episode of Series 6. I enjoyed a majority of the fights. The Series 6 melees, they are tons of fun. They're just fun. Even the bad ones are fun. It's just a great series overall. And Series 6, Heat D, is easily up there as one of the greatest Robot Wars episodes of all time. Every single fight in that episode was really good. Really good. Even Alien vs. Shredder, I think, was a really decent back and forth pushing match. It's just a great series. But it's not quite as good as Series 10, which is my second favourite, which is just brilliant. Like, there was not a single dull moment during Series 10 for me. I enjoy every single fight in Series 10, which is very rare for me to say. I like every single battle. Even the bad ones were hilarious. Like, Push to Exit versus Expulsion was funny. It was funny. And the World Series episodes were entertaining as anything. It's a great series. But in my opinion, the best series of all time is Series 7. I think this is the greatest series of all time. I know tons of people disagree with me, but Series 7 has the highest quality of battles. There are so many great fights, such as Tsunami versus Exterminator is one. The first round of the All-Stars Melee, the first All-Stars Melee, the Grand Final, Storm 2 versus Tornado. Tons of awesome fights. And it's just awesome. There's lots of really good stuff. I actually like Jane Middlemiss. I think she has some really funny moments, really funny unintentional moments, and it's just a great series. And that was a really long question. How long is the timer now? Good lord, this is going to be my longest video. This is going into the hour mark. Sorry about this. All right, and his next question is Coke or Pepsi? Pepsi. I don't care what anyone says. Pepsi is better than Coke. Yeah, right. Try and rush through these now because this video is becoming very long. So Chaotic Robotics said, if you could go see a fight live of any two robots, what would those two robots be? Disco Inferno and Supernova. It's always been a dream match of mine. Two really powerful spinners, known for being incredibly unreliable. I just want to see it happen. I would like it to be Series 7 Disco Inferno and Series 7 Supernova. Anything past that would lead to issues, but it's a fight I would like to see. I think it would be a very interesting battle. I think Supernova would win that, though. I know Disco Inferno is my favourite robot, but Supernova would win on the sheer power of their spinner alone and the speed. Right, now, Dead Slot's next question is, what media-themed robot do I plan to make next? I have quite a few planned. I have plans to make a robot called Blue Falcon, which is based on the Blue Falcon from F-Zero, which is a video game. I also plan to make a cluster bot called the Explosive Crates, which is a Crash Bandicoot-themed robot. There are going to be two drum spinners. One's a TNT box and the other's a Nitro box. And also I plan to make a robot based on, not too sure how many of you will remember this game, but the old arcade game, Primal Rage. I plan to make a robot based on Vertigo, which is my favourite character from Primal Rage, because I really like her design. And I'm going to call it Primal Rage. And it's going. I even have the spinner for it. I'll quickly come back in a bit. Yeah, got the spinner. There we go. The spinner. And what's my favourite media feed robot that I've made? She's a killer queen. Yeah, killer queen. Killer queen. It's got to be. I'm a massive fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And I'm also quite enjoy Queen. So combine them both. Killer Queen. Yeah. There's a lot of music references in JoJo as well. Forgot to mention that in the earlier question. Right, so now, Zenith Robotics has asked a question. If you could drive and fight with any robot from a live event, which robot would it be? Ooh, that's tough. That is a toughie. I'd have to probably say Aftershock. I'm a huge fan of Aftershock. Aftershock are a great machine. They are my favourite Team Shock robot. They are brilliant, destructive, brutal. Lots of description words to describe Aftershock. And I would love to drive it. But I'm not sure that's part of the whole driving program. If I were to drive one that's part of the driving program, I would like to give Stinger a try. I would like to give Stinger a go. I want to just find out how difficult it is to drive Stinger, because when Jonathan Peli drove it in Series 3, he was driving all over the place. I would like to try out Stinger and find out how uncontrollable it is. Right, now Turtle Noobs asked a question. Who do I believe is the most overrated in Robot Wars, BattleBots, and King of Bots? Right, so Robot Wars, the most overrated robot in Robot Wars, Fluffy. I'm not a fan of Fluffy. Yeah, I can already hear the dislikes. Yeah, go ahead, but I do not like Fluffy as a robot. It angers me too much. It makes me yell, "Oh, come on," at the top of my voice way too much. I just lost all faith in it. I know they did very well in the Series 8 Fantasy Edition tournament I did on Wattpad and the Extreme 1 tournament, but that's because it had easy opponents. I'm not a fan of Fluffy. It I want to like it. I really want to like it. That's the thing, though. I like the concept of it. It has some good fights, but I just don't. I don't like it because it dies way too often for me to actually root for it, and it angers me too much. It's an issue. Although it is a good robot, I don't like it. I don't like it. And BattleBots, most overrated BattleBots robot, Bronco. Well, I'm getting very controversial here, but Bronco, yeah, they are a bit overrated. Well, I'm not too sure if Bronco's overrated now because I've heard so many people call Bronco overrated. So maybe not Bronco, because people have been acknowledging the fact that Bronco is not the be-all, end-all, ultimate flipper of death that it once is. Um, Right, so out of all the actual robots, the ones that I find to be a bit overrated, Sawblaze. Yeah, Sawblaze I don't find to be a bit overrated. They are a good machine, but they aren't the they beat what's put in front of them is the way I describe it. They do well because they get given opponents that they are very good at dealing with. For example, they were very well made to take on Son of Waiachi, which is why I didn't really find them whenever Son of Waiachi as impressive as others before, because I was thinking, yeah, they were specifically built for Son of Waiachi. If it goes up against a robot isn't specifically built to take on, it's just kind of done for. I do think Jameson Go's a good driver. I'm not saying I hate Sawblaze. I actually like the robot. I prefer Scorpios though. But it's a good machine, but I do find it a tad bit overrated. King of Bots, I don't watch King of Bots. And underrated in Robot Wars and BattleBots, underrated in Robot Wars has to be Tsunami. People say it's good, but they don't know how really good it is. It's a really, really, really good robot. It's actually, I mean, I know I've said it before and I'll say it again, but I still stand by the fact that they are the greatest robot in the classic series. Why am I doing this? I'm an Italian chef. Mamma mia, would you like some pasta? Jesus, that was offensive. That was highly offensive. I'm sorry if there are any Italians who watch this. I actually think Dead Slot is part Italian. Sorry if that offended you, Dead Slot. Yeah, but yeah, I do think Tsunami is underrated. I do stand by the point that they are the best robot in the classic series. Objectively, they are a beastly flipper. BattleBots, an underrated BattleBots machine. I think Hexadecimator. I think is a very underrated BattleBots machine. If it competed in something like Robot Wars, I can see it doing really well. I can see Hexadecimator being a potential semi-finalist if it ever entered Robot Wars. I mean, it did do quite well in BattleBots, but it never quite got to the heights that it did because, well, in the end, it just ended up against fighting deadly spinners and, well, invertible robots. I'm quite a big fan of Hexadecimator. I do like the robot. I need to make them one at one point. I might make them as a random bot build eventually. So now, so thank you for the question, Tails Noob. Now, Roomba Wars Tyler asked, which BattleBots or Robot Wars reboot robot is my favourite? Out of all the robots from the reboot of both BattleBots and Robot Wars, my favourite one has to be Death Roll. Death Roll are... I love the design so much. Here's my model of it. I love the design of Death Roll so much. It looks beautiful. The spinner is awesome. It's just a really likable machine. It's just one of them. I just love it. I absolutely love it, and I love how well they did in BattleBots this year because it looks beautiful. And as a close runners up, I'd probably say Quantum and Aftershock. And who would win between Virus and Rhino? They fought in a request fight, so go check that request fight in the request fights playlist. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Wait, now Delboy666 asked a question of, if I built a robot in real life, what would it be? What would it be, might I say? Because I kind of already answered it. Plan B! Yeah, Plan B. Yeah, the Crusher. Yeah, so thank you for the question, Delboy666. Now, Juan Moral asked me the question of when am I going to do Series 2? Early next year, hopefully. I've done all the qualifiers for it. I am planning on making a highlights video on November of the qualifiers, so stay tuned for that in the future. He also asked a question of how old am I? Well, I am years old. So yeah, thank you for that question. Right, now, Aidan Phelps, I said your name correct this time, asked the question. What if Subatomic version 3 went out in the second round? What, to Diet or? That would change up quite a bit. I think Dietor would probably beat Flag of Doom. Wider flipper panel should definitely chuck it out. And I reckon they could be able to beat King Ramses II as well, because I feel they're the more powerful flipper. As for... I don't think they would beat Crikey, though. But they should definitely have a good go at Eagle's Claw 3, EC3. Don't know who'd win that. Depends on who's lower. I think EC3's lower, so they might win that. And he also asked the question of what's my top 5 most powerful flippers. So, alright. I'm assuming he's talking about in my series. So my series, my top 5 most powerful flippers. Well, for starters, I think the top 2, it's a tie between these two. Bot from the Blue and Blood Pumper, I think, are in the top 2 of my most powerful flippers. Next, I would probably have to give it to I can't find the other one at the minute. I can't find the reigning champions Rapid. Rapid are up there. Rapid, I'd probably say a third. I'd actually probably say Dietor are next. Dietor, with their big flipper. That's their very powerful flipper. And number 5, probably Gravity. Gravity are very strong. They're a very powerful flipper. Right. Now, Bots and More asked, what do I think of 200 subs? It's alright. Right. Now, Harry to Bob asked what robot or robots from the original series are underrated. I can say Tsunami again, but there are others I do think are underrated, such as Barbarous. I think is an underrated robot. If Barbarous weren't as unreliable as it would have easily been. Well, actually, no, it probably wouldn't have been because it kept getting an unlucky draw. It kept getting an unlucky draw against Hypnodisc and Tornado. I feel Barbarous would have definitely been a potential Series 6 semi-finalist if it wasn't drawn up against Hypnodisc. And I stand by that. Philippa 2 is also very underrated. Philippa 2 are great. They're one of my favourite robots of all time. They look beautiful and they have some great fights. Right, now the next question is from Alpha Blizzard Productions. 10, 12, 90, 66. Have I ever played Metal Gear Solid 3? I haven't actually, although I have been considering getting into the Metal Gear series, because I like the soundtrack, I like the characters, I think Solid Snake and Raiden are both very cool characters. I would like to get into the series. I just don't really have any means to... I don't really have the games at the minute. So I should consider it. I mean, I do have a PS4. I'm fairly certain all the first 4 games... I'm pretty sure the series is available on PlayStation Plus, so... And you can get it for free, so... I do have plans to get into the series. I would like to get into the series anyway. I do really want to play Metal Gear Rising Revengeance as well. I love the soundtrack, and I do like the characters. Even though I haven't played it, I do quite enjoy the characters. Senator Armstrong and Raiden are very cool characters. And the final question is from Rosada, and his question is, what is my opinion on Finley Boyce? Why did you ask this question? Right, for those who don't know, Finley Boyce is a friend of mine, who I talk to. There's a WhatsApp group chat. I'm on there, Rosada's on there, the Boom117's on there, Help Me Please is on there, Luke N64's on there. Check out, if you haven't already, please subscribe to Rosada, the Boom1177, Help Me Please, and Luke N64. They're great guys, and they've got great channels, so please do go check them out. And there's a guy on there called Finley Boyce, who is a friend of Rosada's, and he is weird. He posts really cursed images on the WhatsApp group chat. I mean, he's an alright guy to talk to, I guess, but he posts some really weird, cursed images. And talking of weird, that's a really weird question, and I'm going to reply to Rosetta right now. I'm going to reply to him, there we go, well, I'm just typing something in. There we go. I replied to him. So something that only he would get. Yeah. So that kind of does it for this Q&A. Jesus Christ, this is really long. 1 hour and 8 minutes. I shouldn't swear. There are little kids who watch my channel. I mean, I know there are lots of non-little kids, but I know that there are young kids who watch my channel, so I shouldn't really be swearing. But Jesus Christ, that is a long video. I understand if you don't want to sit through all of it, but if you have, thank you very much. And until next time, the Bot Builder out.